Hello and welcome to this very special episode. My name is Sina and I am already a podcast host in German, but this is my very first episode in English. And I invited a very special guest to celebrate this first episode. And I'm so happy to have Zoe with me here today. And I will ask you a bunch of questions and we will have a very flowy conversation about certain topics. But maybe Zoe, just warm welcome from my side. I'm so happy that you're here, that you said yes, and maybe just give us a glimpse. Where are you right now? How you're feeling? And yeah, just
Of
a warm
course.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to your first episode. I'm really grateful and excited to dive into the conversation and to see wherever it will take us. And where am I right now? So, well, to give like a little visual idea, I'm currently traveling with my van in Fuerteventura, so in the Canary Islands in Spain. And I've been here for 3 months now. The weeks are shortening, so it's still 2 weeks, and then I return back to mainland Spain, traveling around Europe a bit. But right now, my external reality looks a lot like volcanic rocks and water, and really that dry island energy. But I really like it because for some reason I keep coming back to this place. It really grounds me. It has a very like earthy grounding energy, and so every time I come back here it feels like coming home in a way. Yeah.
Mm, beautiful. And that is something that we share, that we have in common, that we kind of have this nomadic lifestyle. And we have a few more things that we share. And maybe going
Mhm.
back to last year, June, we met on a retreat in Mallorca. And
Yeah.
I have some very beautiful memories with you. One of the memories where we had this mastermind and we were like sitting on this big couch and you were like jumping, cuddling next to me. And one of the things you shared on the retreat, if I may share, is that you kind of realized that you want to get more in touch with feminine connection and trust and build like
Yes.
this feeling of sisterhood. And we had this moment where I just felt that you could allow it and that you felt like the connection between us women sitting cuddling there and that you enjoyed it a lot. And I know a lot about your story, or more than maybe most of the people who are listening right now. And there is a lot to share. And maybe let me start with a question, Zoe. If you look back onto your life, like what you've experienced so far, and let's say there's another planet that will steal you tomorrow and you will be
Oof.
gone from Earth. What is one or two of the most beautiful lessons that you got to learn through pain on Earth? Like what is has been a lesson, a gem for you that first started with pain?
Oof. Big question. First of all, before diving into the question, I wanted to still share on what you shared before. And yeah, I love that we met in the circumstances that we did on the retreat. It was such an amazing experience. And I think what really made me connected to you as well is that I could really resonate with your mission and what you're doing and the energy that you brought into the room as well. And what you said was really true. I felt in that week that I could really allow that feminine connection more. And that was like in the past 2 3 years it's been a really big topic for me, and I would say that in that week connecting with other women that are also in the same industry was a really
Mm.
nice opening for me. So yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up and reminding me of that again.
Mm.
um, and then the question, so two lessons that I gained through pain on Earth. Oof. No one ever asked me that question before in that way. um, I think the first thing that came to mind for me is that you always hold your anchor within yourself. That's the first thing that came up for me, because in life, a lot of things can come up that make you drift away from your center, from really being connected to yourself. A lot can happen through all different phases of life. In childhood, when you go to high school, university, work, anything, there's a lot that can come up. And sometimes we feel like we're like victim, quote unquote, of those circumstances, or we kind of let them consume us. But for me, something that I realized through a lot of experiences is, I'm the one holding that anchor. I'm the one capable of bringing myself back to it. And so that reminder is something that, that just keeps coming back, and is something that also puts me in my power and in my center, knowing that I'm capable of always bringing myself back no matter what happens. And this is something that I always love to bring to people as well. If, within my work, within friendships, within all types of relationships. And I think that from my life journey so far, that's also like a kind of a thread in the lessons that I've learned, going from that instability, stress, chaos, uncertainty, to coming back to my grounding, my center, my peace. And within that lesson of you are the one holding your anchor is just a very big thing. So that was the first thing that came up for me. And then secondly, well, another one, and this is, I think, one that a lot of the people who are listening might have heard before, is that sentence of you create your own reality. I feel like that's a statement that came to the surface for me quite early in my own self-growth journey, and it changed so much for me to see that manifest in reality as well. It's literally why I'm able to do what I do today as well, believing in that statement that I'm capable of creating my own reality and doing things my way, because the lifestyle we're living, it's not the conventional path, and it's not necessarily how our family is living life or our friends are living life from the past. So if we would have just followed what happened before us, we would not be where we are right now. And for me, that statement of you create your own reality really made me think about, okay, what is it actually that I want to create? What is the reality I want to live? And it gave me that empowered feeling of actually taking the steps to create it. So yeah, those two things I would say come up.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And to create your reality, you need to be anchored at the same time to always check in. Is that really what I want? Is that really what's aligned with me? And I can imagine that you had to create a lot of decisions where you said, this is not aligned with me, so I step back or I go forward. So what is your advice? What is your invitation for someone who's listening? How to even connect with what do I want? Because nowadays we have kind of all the options. We just need to open our smartphone and we are in so many different realities, and this can sometimes feel overwhelming. I also observed it with myself. I'm like, I can literally become everything. I can be everywhere. But how do I really feel this is something I want to create, where I feel fulfillment, where I feel purpose? So what were your steps to really outline what do I want as Zoe for my life?
Okay. Well, I think you already touched on a few things. And first of all, I fully relate with there's so many choices out there right now that it becomes overwhelming in a way. Like then there comes this indecisiveness of making a choice because there's just so many options and so many possibilities out there. So of course it has its ups and downs, and I guess it's also, yeah, we choose how we look at things. So we choose the meaning we give to the fact that there's so many possibilities out there. And then again, the anchor kind of comes in, like staying anchored in yourself to not be overwhelmed by all the possibilities. But I would say something that you already touched on was that, okay, what does really feel aligned? What does connect to my purpose? And really, because it's different for everyone, and how that would feel for me can be so different for how it will feel for you. But I would say to come back to stillness and connect with yourself, with your inner landscape, not overwhelming yourself with all the external possibilities and everything that you see out there, but just, allowing all of that to remove, to disappear for a while, and just sitting with yourself, connecting to your body, to your emotional field, and then allowing yourself to maybe even ask a question, ask a question without knowing the answer, and then being open and receptive for things that come into your thoughts, into your experiences, and being open to receive answers to that question. You don't have to necessarily know the answer instantly or within a certain amount of time, I would say. But for me, something that really helped me to get closer was meditation, was sitting in stillness with myself every single day, and just having that peace and quiet with my own frequency, with my own inner landscape, and allowing whatever wants to come through to, flow through. And from that stillness, like a lot happens, a lot gets created. So I would say that if you don't already take the time to just sit with yourself, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, to just start doing that and see what happens without any expectations.
Mm. And I feel you are the embodiment of being anchored. Like that's also a
Well, not
presence that
always.
not
Sometimes.
always. For sure not. It's also good to let loose of the anchor, but I feel like in the retreat last year, not me, but also others witnessed a very anchored calmness. Like you're not
Mm,
always calm. You can also
yeah.
dance and be there. And I mean, you sing and you are like you have all these varieties and levels, but your presence is anchored, calming, and you can see that you're not impulsive in those moments, but
Mm,
you like this is how I received you. Like there was a beautiful presence, there is a beautiful presence that's stepping back from, oh, I need to react directly. And that's
mm,
for me also freedom from, okay, there's something coming up and we most likely learn to react straight away, but to say,
yeah, yeah.
I'm pausing, I see how it's resonating, what's flowing through me, and then I answer
Mhm,
instead of being full on it. You mentioned
for sure.
before that there were times of chaos, that there were times of uncertainty. So I can imagine sitting still, closing your eyes, meditating was not something that straight away felt safe for you.
Mm,
And today you also guide different kind of people through their processes to calm their nervous system, to sit with themselves, to really connect with their anchors. So would you like to take us a little bit on the path, maybe how your journey was from chaos to calmness, and
mm.
what's like the main takeaways or steps that you're also teaching and giving people nowadays?
Okay. Well, thank you for the question. I feel like the journey from chaos to calmness, which I really like the words that you use there. Um, it starts quite early on in childhood for me. The chaos. I would say when I was 7, my parents got divorced. So in the months leading up to it, of course, there was already chaos of how that kind of started to develop. But once they got divorced and separated places, basically, yeah, my life as how I had known it until then completely changed. So from that moment, there was a lot of unpredictability and instability. And as a child, of course, you feel that on your system. And so every week we changed places. Every Sunday, I needed to pack my suitcase again, go to the different parent. So these patterns of instability started to form, and feeling ungrounded, feeling unsafe from time to time in my daily life, in my routine, in my actually, like, in the environment where you as a child are supposed to feel most safe. For me, that kind of started to crumble, and in day-to-day life with school and everything, there was just a lot of stress present, due to different factors, when it comes to my mom, my dad, the situation, school, a lot of things that just brought daily stress and daily anxiety, even though, as a child, you don't know the terms, you don't know what it means, but you feel it. And it was something that I became very familiar with, and it started to be normal to have that every single day. And so from an early age, I felt quite alone in certain parts of the journey, because I was also someone who, well, I still am someone who's very connected to her emotional field. So I love emotions. I love diving deeper into them. But of course, it's not for everyone. And so I did feel quite alone in that from time to time. So I also took like a lot of time by myself, just like being in my own world a bit from time to time. And as I grew older, more experiences came. I got a half sister as well, and she was born when I was 13. So also there, it was again like a whole change in environment and situation. I was there as a second mother basically for her as well, so a lot of responsibility, and that brought me to a place of becoming very independent early on, which I'm very grateful now, because it taught me so much on, again, this whole idea of creating your own reality and of building my own business. So I can really see the thread in everything that I experienced in life, and how that shifted from those more chaotic experience, as we mentioned it now, to how much I value the opposite now, the grounding, the peace, the calmness. And I see the direct links with everything that I've experienced, and everything I value now, and everything I teach, and everything, like my mission basically in life, bringing people from that place of feeling ungrounded and stressful, and just lost in their connection to themselves, back to that grounded place, that peaceful place, and knowing that they can create whatever they want to create. So it's really interesting to see for myself, and to remind myself of that path as well, and to see the links. And for me, it's by diving deeper into that, into my past, into childhood. I don't say that it's necessary, not at all, but for me it did really open a lot of doors, and it connected a lot of dots that helped me to gain clarity, to feel more empowered in doing what I do. So if you're open for it, and if you feel steady within yourself to carry that, if you feel like you have the capacity to look back, it could be interesting to connect the dots, and to maybe even feel into what you want to do, and what you want to create, what your mission is in life.
Hmm. Especially when because you also created your own business, and I find from a business perspective to see on what pattern we run our business, or we run our life, or we run
Yes.
our relationships. And if it's like the pattern of, okay, it's always uncertain, it's stressful, we just replicate it. So we maybe drink 5 coffees, maybe go into a relationship that's not safe for us, but it feels so familiar. Did you have like a moment where you were like, oh my God, I'm just repeating what I back then learned? Like, was there like this one light bulb moment, or was it a process of observing?
Good question. I think on one hand it was for sure a process, because I feel like those patterns and beliefs ripple through in all areas of life eventually. Even if it's in very subtle ways, in the way you start your day, in the way you go through education or work, like it really ripples through in everything. Also in relationships, as you say, like certain things you've experienced from maybe your parents or within growing up, you kind of subconsciously attract that also within relationships, whether that's romantic friendships, family, anything. So for sure I felt it in all of those areas. There was not like one specific big thing that that made me see the light, or how however I can say it, but it was multiple things. And for me, the moment that kind of got me to open up for meditation, for these topics, was when I was studying in university. I was studying 24/7. I was not feeling fulfilled with my life whatsoever. I was also studying something that I knew deep down didn't feel aligned. I studied criminology and law, which is something completely different, to what I'm doing right now. But it was, I don't know, this idea, this belief that God conditioned into me that I wanted to get into this industry. And it was a challenging education as well. I was even studying during summers because I had to redo exams. So my life was basically that, studying and feeling unfulfilled. And at some point, I bumped into a meditation challenge, and I was already familiar with meditation and really connected to myself, but I kind of lost touch with this part of me. And so in that moment, I was like, I don't have anything to lose, actually. So I'm just going to try this challenge. And from that moment, I started the meditation challenge. It was 66 days, and I never stopped meditating ever since. So basically, that kind of started my journey back to myself. And because of that, what I mentioned before, when you allow yourself to sit in stillness, a lot of other things open up. So a lot of other topics came to the surface that I got so interested in. So then I was combining my education with this new world that was opening up, and I was making time to self-educate in that, and at the same time finish my education. And so in that way, this kind of was like a trigger point for me
Mm.
to open myself up to something else.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So easy on the surface, not to sit still and do nothing, but it seems to be the hardest thing for people.
Hmm.
What is your go-to practice? What is your advice for someone who's like, I can not just make time. I cannot imagine how to
Hmm.
meditate, what to do. Like,
Yeah. This is something I hear often. There's so many excuses for not meditating, or sometimes the word meditation even already carries a certain load that people not even open up to it. But just sitting still with yourself, it's something that brings up a lot of discomfort for a lot of people. And the "I don't have time" is an excuse that I heard often in the past few years whenever I worked with someone one-to-one. And meditation for me, whenever I do one-to-one coaching, it's always part of the journey. And it's the excuse that comes up most is like, "I don't have time for it." And then that one is easily debunked by just checking screen time on the phone, for example. I ask them how much time they
Yes.
spend on their phone. Let them check their settings, and then they're like, "Oh, I can make 10 minutes of time
Mm.
to not have the phone and meditate." So that
Mm.
one easily, gets removed. But also the idea of when I'm meditating, I have to make sure I don't have any thoughts. That's something that people really believe from meditation, is that it's with the goal of being empty of thoughts, not thinking about anything. And yeah, if you believe that, of course you're going to feel like you fail at meditation, because that's not, like, it's almost impossible. We have
Mm.
our minds function for a reason, and so of course it's going to bring up thoughts from time to time. And the idea of meditation is that you can catch yourself when something comes up, so you can redirect your focus consciously back to yourself, to your meditation, and be the observer of your thoughts rather than being consumed by them. So those two things often come up as like an excuse of our ego, our mind, to not sit in stillness because it feels uncomfortable, because it feels unfamiliar. And what are what we want to do is do things that feel familiar, that feel safe, that feel comfortable. So allowing yourself to be with the discomfort and to just sit in stillness for 5 minutes. And it can be simple, because meditation, there's so many types of meditation, right? Even just being outside, sitting and watching the waves or watching the grass or whatever is already meditating in a way. There's
Mm.
so many forms of meditation, and if you're new to it and you would want to start meditating, I would recommend you to, first thing in the morning when you wake up, just take 10 minutes to sit in a room where you don't have any distractions and focus on your breathing. And just when you breathe in, really feeling the breath. And maybe you can even, I love to work with mantras when I teach people how to meditate, but in the beginning it can be even easier, and just, by repeating, when you're breathing in, repeating in your mind in, and when you breathe out, just repeating out. So you always have something, your
Mm.
mind is also in a way like focusing on something. The thing with meditation is you have your focus point, whether that's your breathing, whether that's a mantra, whether that's doing a body scan or looking at something if you keep your eyes open. But having your focus point and noticing when your mind drifts off, when you start to wander, bringing yourself back. And maybe in the beginning, you will wander off for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe the whole meditation. And that's okay. Just
Mm.
the moment you catch yourself, just bring yourself back to your focus point, whether that's the breathing, the mantra, the object you're watching, anything, just bringing yourself back and repeating that. And it's like you're training a muscle. You're
Mm.
training the capacity to bring yourself back and to focus on something. And that's also going to help you in many more ways than just the
Yes.
meditating, right? But yeah, that's how I would recommend to start.
Mm.
And not just remind yourself to not compare any meditations with each other, and to know that any moment is unique in its own way. Any meditation is unique in its own way. And just you taking the time to be with yourself is already a win, is already an achievement.
Yes.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Thank you for the reminder.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
it is so powerful, because you feel in your day-to-day life that you're less reactive, that you can actually see,
Mhm.
oh, my thoughts are going into comparison. My thoughts are going to,
Exactly.
what is my neighbor doing? And it's not serving me. So it's kind
Mhm.
of putting a beautiful leash on our chatterbox, on our
Yeah.
thoughts. I remember 2019, I went to Vipassana, so 10 days of silence.
Yeah.
And I felt that was a reset for me. That was really a reset that did so much. And I remember there was one lady who was in India, and she was, I don't know if she had any health issues, but I never heard someone burping that much in a row, like
Mm.
constantly. And in the beginning, I got so annoyed. It's like, how can I sit here constantly with this noise? And it
Mm.
was like the best practice
Yeah, I can
because it was
imagine.
so obvious besides my so first it was like, okay, being present with myself, you go through your body, but then you like your thoughts go, but then I had my thoughts and the thoughts going to this noise, getting annoyed, so I had an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
And it was completely out of my practice that I was supposed to do. So it's like, okay, so that's next level practice, let's go. And after
Mm.
that, stepping out onto the Indian streets in cities, I was like, it's not affecting me anymore because I decide if my attention goes there to the honking, to the stress, or if I stay centered.
I love that. Yeah.
And that was, I was like, okay, everyone needs to do 10 days Vipassana and the world will be different.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
still believe it because, and maybe we can dive a little bit into the topic of frequency because you also do, like you mentioned, mantras already. You
Mm.
are a very wonderful musician. So you also work with frequencies. And we know if some people, just a few people, meditate together, it's changing the frequency of a room. We can change
Mm.
criminality and whatever in cities. Like that's no woo woo, that's actually science, what happens. So what is your thoughts on that? What is your experience? I mean, you can also feel how you're changing the energy of a room when you
For
start
sure.
to create music. So maybe you want to take us a little bit into that identity of you,
Mm-hmm. For
because
sure.
I already experienced you, and it was beautiful because you do healing work as well with your
Mm.
voice, with your music.
Yeah, for me singing, using my voice is one of the simplest and quickest and most natural ways to connect to source. It's like it just happens naturally. And before going into this, I thought about something that I used before when you said about, yeah, when you enter a room, you can really change the frequency of a room. And what I did in like a season of life when I was still studying, I put like a post-it note on some of the doors in my house with the question, what energy do I want to bring into this room? And I basically used the door as a
Mm,
portal, as a like a choice, a conscious choice of the energy I want to bring into the room I'm entering. And it was such a nice practice to get more conscious of the energy that I'm carrying, because when you then, for example, get into your home and you feel rushed or stressed and you go into another door and you see that post-it, you reflect and you check in with yourself, even if it's just a few seconds, but then you might
mm,
realize, oh, I'm actually feeling quite activated or rushed. Do I want to bring this energy into my house? And then
mhm.
it can be so easy to just take a few breaths and shift that. So that's something that came up and I quickly wanted to
Mm.
share
I
that.
love that. I love that. That's beautiful, especially
Yeah,
of
right.
the
And it's so simple.
families. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Um, and so yeah, back to the singing. Um, yeah, this is a part that um, also the past few years got developed and anchored into myself more again, because I started singing when I was 11 years. So I was like quite young when I started exploring, but at some point I really lost touch with it because the way I was singing was how I got taught in school, and it was covers, it was singing certain lyrics, and at some point it just didn't resonate with me anymore. So I thought, okay, maybe it's not for me anymore singing. And then after taking a break from it for some time, I started to just sing whatever came to mind. So just sounds, just certain tunes, anything that just like kind of came through without having words necessarily. Sometimes there's words. And I started to also connect with mantras. So Hindu and Buddhist mantras, they for some reason they really loosen something inside of me. And that's also when I got into touch with kirtan, with mantra singing, so holding ceremonies where we're singing in circle, and that's also what we did on the retreat in June. And for me, whenever I sing mantras or whenever I just sing intuitively and I'm chanting, I'm just singing whatever sound comes through, that's when I connect so easily. And for me, when I start singing, I my hands start to tingle almost immediately, and I really feel the physical sensations through my body. And that's how, for me, like, I know, okay, I'm in my zone in a way, like I'm in that flow state. So sharing that with people in singing circles, or even sometimes in one-to-one sessions when I'm working with a Tibetan bowl or singing bowls and my voice, just to give a session on one person, really focusing on their energy field and what they want to focus on. It's it just feels so beautiful to be able to connect with people in that way, because you can really feel the energy flow in the circle. I had the same thing on the retreat as well when we did the mantra singing circle together. It was just so nice to feel the energy flow through the circle. And for me, the moment that we're all with our eyes closed and singing together, when I then sometimes, like, I open my eyes to just experience the people and how they're feeling, I can see the shifts that it's bringing. And I can see when someone's crying or smiling or just feeling really grounded. It's so beautiful to see that expression on their faces and in their body language. So that's a moment I really love when we're doing these circles, to just like quickly open my eyes for a second. And sometimes someone else has their eyes open, and then we lock eyes and have eye contact. It's just so beautiful to feel that energy flow. So in that way, singing has been a really big topic in life for me as well, also when it comes to sound healing and holding sound journeys on retreats or events. That's like another way of energy expression. And it's maybe a less direct one, as in, we're not exchanging words, but sometimes it's even stronger when it comes to feeling it. And yeah, I love that so much. It's something that I'm also expressing more and more again. I'm actually working on my first EP right now. I recorded one of my first songs a few days ago. Well, the first demo version. So
Oh,
that's like,
wow.
it's like a side of me that I'm exploring more.
Hmm.
And so yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
What would be thank you, first of all, for sharing that. And I feel like get really excited about it because I had the same, like, I never felt like singing. I played the guitar and got the experience as well. Like,
Mhm.
okay, this is how you have to do it. And I never really experienced this creative flow of, okay, I'm just picking up the guitar and do my own tunes. But then connecting with mantras unlocked something because I felt
Yeah.
there's no wrong way of singing a mantra. There's just my
Literally.
voice and the frequency that's coming through. And it unlocked something back then super deep in me and something very
Wow.
touching. And I feel whenever I sit together with people singing or I hear someone singing, I need to cry. And
Mm.
it's like a really, it's like so beautiful. It's a deep memory and
Yeah.
recognition of something that's so deep rooted. Same when someone is playing the drums, like something
Mm.
in me is just like
Oh, I
going
got
wild.
goosebumps.
Like, so, I mean, that's our roots. That's where we're coming from,
Literally.
sitting in a circle, sharing our voice, and we don't need to understand each other. We don't necessarily need to know what is the meaning of the Sanskrit mantra, but we can
Mhm.
feel the
I feel
resonance.
it. Yeah.
And that is, oh, I love this so much.
Yeah, me too.
And for me, I'm on my journey where I'm like thinking about getting someone to train me in vocals
Mm,
just to stretch my comfort, let's say.
yeah.
Makes me so emotional, but I feel it's a very important step.
Hmm. I
And
would
I'm a,
I would
yeah,
recommend you to go out in nature and explore.
yeah,
That's also for me. It was the same thing when I started to feel like, oh, actually, this intuitive way of singing, I really like it. Of course, I was not confident with it to sing in front of people in the beginning. So it was like, okay, I want to explore it, but I'm usually always around people. So how can I allow myself to do that? So I just went out in nature, whether it's like a forest or at the ocean or anything. And even that element of nature, it can be so supportive to allow
mm,
yourself to bring it out and to explore. And I loved to bring my shruti box as well to have like a baseline tone, but you can also just have like a video on YouTube or something to use for that, or just the sound of nature simply. You know, the water is also having a certain bringing a certain frequency to
yeah.
support you in exploring. So yeah, going out in nature is something that really helped me.
Mm, that's so powerful because unlocking the power behind the voice, I mean, just making sounds is so uncomfortable for a
Yeah.
lot of women. And I feel it's such a portal and so important to,
Yeah.
yeah, not be stuck in the head because it's like, no, when you're stuck in like having this head voice, it's very, but if you feel just through
Yeah.
talking how deep this frequency can actually travel,
Exactly.
it's,
Yeah, and it can also really help with expressing yourself in general. You know, like
mm,
if you're feeling more anchored and confident with your voice, then it's also going to have an impact on how you express yourself verbally when you're in conversations and when you're speaking in front of people. I really noticed that also through connecting more with my voice. I feel that it's much more natural for me to also speak in front of a group and still bring that same calmness and bring that same grounded feeling, even if I'm speaking in front of people, which would not always feel, comfortable for me.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Did you always feel comfortable speaking in front of people, or was there like a shift for you?
Yeah, not at all, of course.
Because
I
nowadays, I mean, you have quite a big account on Instagram as well, so you're visible. Like people can see
mm,
you online as in offline as well.
yeah, no, of course it was not always comfortable, like not at all. Um I remember even the first time that I was singing in front of like a crowd was on my high school graduation. Like I was 18. And it was the first time that I was singing in front of, I think it was like 600 people or something. So my legs were shaking so much. I was literally, my voice was trembling. I was not feeling comfortable. I was super stressed. I did it and I'm so proud of myself for that, but I was so stressed. And it's such a big difference from when I sing in front of people now or when I talk. Everyone remembers the time when in high school or in primary school they had to go in front of the class and speak in front of the class with the stress and trying to
Yes.
remember every single word that you prepared. Um, so of course I had those periods and those experiences. But if I now look back on that, it's so beautiful to, for example, visualize that 18-year-old version of myself shaking on her legs. And sometimes there was actually one story I would like to share. The song that I sang when I was 18 was called Fix You from Coldplay.
Oh,
And a few years later, my partner and I, we were traveling around Europe and we were busking and singing on the streets. And at some point, two girls came up to us and they asked, "Can you play a song of Coldplay?" And then I remembered, oh my gosh, like the first song I ever sang in front of a crowd was Fix You from Coldplay. So that evening we rehearsed the song and it matched perfectly with the hand fan, with the tune of the handpan. So it was like, yeah, amazing that the scale matched that exact song. And the next day we sang that song, playing on the streets, and I closed my eyes and I was just visualizing that 18-year-old version of myself in front of, like, in that auditorium singing for people, and just feeling the proudness. And I sang the whole song with my eyes closed, and when I opened my eyes at the end, there was a whole circle around us on the bridge. And that was like, yeah, I'm even getting tears in my eyes again. It
Yeah,
was just
same.
it was such a beautiful moment, because it just, in that moment, I could really feel myself feeling that energy and that frequency and bringing it to the people who stopped their tracks to just listen to what we were bringing. And yeah, for me, that really showed me that, there is, if you allow yourself to be in that transformation, and to look back also from time to time what you already achieved,
Yeah.
there's so much to be proud of yourself for, and to recognize, and to,
Yeah.
yeah, be grateful for. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
I did not think that story was going to come up.
And this is such a powerful key you're giving, because you did not let this one moment that maybe didn't feel comfortable
Yeah.
decide about your life. Moreover, you took this moment and you transformed the energy, because you also work a lot with the nervous system, with somatics. Like for you,
Yeah.
also the body is not separated in what's happening. And what
No.
you actually did was time bending traveling, because you went back to this moment and kind of
Yeah.
supported yourself back then from a future perspective,
Yeah,
and
it's so
gave you the
crazy.
power. If we take away
Yeah.
time, you were standing there with 18 years, but your
Yeah.
energy from the future came, was like, so we were doing, we're actually singing on a bridge to strangers and having
Yeah.
the best time.
Yeah, literally. It's so crazy how all of this works, and it's so beautiful if you really see it and feel it. Yeah. It's such an empowering thing to feel, and it kind of comes back for me to that you create your own reality. There's so many layers to that statement, and this, like, is literally one of those examples, that the timelines that are available to you, and just the empowered feeling that can bring, that you can shift at any moment, and you have the conscious choice at any given moment to choose differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful, because you decided, like so many moments in your life, you decided to create a different life than what you're maybe used to, or what even you and your partner had such a tremendously shift together, from
Yeah.
being students and not connected to the world that you're living right now, to what you created together as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a whole journey. Yeah, for sure. And if you reflect on, yeah, I think for anyone listening, it's just so interesting to look back a few years and just realize how much can change, how much can shift in just a year, 2 years. Like, if you really choose that you want to create something, things can change so rapidly. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's beautiful. I love it.
We're not here to stay the same.
No.
There is
Yeah.
in German, there's a saying that says, bleib so wie du bist, like stay as you are, like happy birthday, like so
Mm,
great that you're here, stay as you are. And at one point I was like, I don't want to stay as I am. Like,
I
okay, my
love that.
core values and but I want to fucking change in this year. Like, there's so much to
Oh
let
my
go on that.
I love that realization. That's like the little rebel coming up. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to stay the same.
But
But
that's it,
literally,
no?
that's the thing. Yeah.
How we're also a little bit imprinted, like, yeah, please stay the same, because then everything is the same and no one needs to adapt. And no, you have the permission
No.
slip to, first of all, let go what's not serving you, to decide what you want to welcome,
Yeah.
and to just break free.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because when things stay the same, it's a perceived sense of safety and comfort that people gain from it, but it's not real safety or real certainty because it's not possible for things to stay the same. I think literally the only certainty we have is that things are going to change, right?
Yeah.
Things change all
Yeah.
the time from this second to the next. Yeah.
So how's your approach? Because I mean, we have a lot of people like mindset coaches, like, yeah, just leave your comfort zone. And that might work for some people, but it's quite overwhelming for others, where it's, yeah, but I feel actually scared. Let's say sharing my first Instagram story because I'm so
Yeah.
scared of being seen. What is your approach on maybe widening the comfort zone or befriending this state of fear that's actually not
Mm-hmm.
the reality that's serving us? Like, how's your
Yeah.
transition? Well,
Yeah, I think this really connects a lot to nervous system work as well, because it's easy on a rational and mental level to say, you know, get out of your comfort zone, broaden your comfort zone, but it's another thing to also feel safe to do that and to carry yourself to get out of your comfort zone. And on one part, yes, it's about, getting comfortable with the discomfort and like reshaping your relationship to it, because again, this is like the meaning we give to things and choose it. Like, I think in general, getting out of our comfort zone is seen as like a scary thing, as something that can be like intense or heavy, but that's also meaning we chose to give that. And we can also choose to see it as something exciting, something liberating, something expansive, and change our meaning of getting out of our comfort zone or expanding ourselves. But when we choose to do that, that's one thing, the choice, making that choice, that already creates such a big energetic shift if you really make the decision energetically. Because if it's with that energy of, yeah, maybe I can get out of my comfort zone, maybe it's a good idea, I'll try to do it, and then you're not deciding, you're like, it's still that fear and that doubt coming in and postponing. But just making that decision first of all, of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, that's already your first step, and something that brings a big energy to it. And then alongside that, how can you feel anchored and safe within your body, within your system, so you have the capacity to expand, so you can hold yourself in the expansion, in the getting out of your comfort zone. And I think that's where practices come in, that's where somatic work comes in, where you can actually connect more to your inner landscape and notice when you're getting out of your comfort zone, when you're taking the first steps, checking in with your body. Okay, what sensations do I feel? Where do I feel a certain tension or stress? And being with yourself in that, allowing those emotions, those sensations to flow through, not making them mean anything about you, not making them stop you from taking the step, but being with yourself, coming back to that safety, coming back to your anchor, so that you can move from that anchored place. Because if you are going to take that first step, ignoring completely how you feel on the inside, and if it's bringing certain tensions, then that's not sustainable, right? Because maybe you will take that first step and maybe you can push through the second, but at some point your body is going to collapse and it's going to make you stop expanding. But if you check in with yourself when you're taking the steps, and you make sure that you keep the safety within yourself, and you stay centered through the steps you're taking, then you can just expand and keep expanding in a natural and grounded way. So I think that's how I would approach it, to bring all of those things together and make sure that as you're growing and as you're taking the steps, you feel grounded within. And when a sensation comes up, don't make it mean anything about you. It's not your identity, but allow the emotion to come through. If at some point you feel stressed or sad or anything, just allow yourself to cry, to shake, to jump, to do whatever you need to do to release the energy, to move through the emotion and come back to your anchor, and then go on with your steps. Yeah.
So, where is all your wisdom collected? What
I'm
if someone is listening is like, I
this is
want more of Zoe?
this is not me speaking. I'm just
No,
bringing it through.
no, I know, but I also know that everything that's coming through, you also have beautiful portals for people, guiding people. I would love you to share maybe what's like something where people can connect to you, maybe also have a journey with you, because it's so important from my perspective. If you are starting your journey, or you're in the midst of your journey, or you just feel, okay, I'm running my business, I'm running my life, but I don't feel anchored, to also have guides next to you, to have humans who were walking the path, who can give you a different perspective or remind you. So I know you're a mentor too, and invite us into Zoe's world.
Thank you for opening the space for that. And yeah, I fully agree. I think having someone by your side in every part of your journey is so powerful. I felt it in my own experience as well. And of course you can figure out everything by yourself, but it can accelerate and make things flow more easily and more, like more natural. And I wouldn't say fast, but yes, in a way, like things can move quicker if you have that support by your side and accountability and everything. I felt that in my business as well, having support from, other people who are maybe further along in the journey, or even within my journey, I also worked with a childhood trauma coach a few years ago to dive into this topic of everything that I've experienced. And it's just crazy how much that can do within your journey. So it's something that I also always keep, looking out for and seeing, okay, what type of support can I use right now? What could benefit me in my journey? But to come back to your question, yeah, for sure on Instagram I share a lot, and that's basically the platform where I share, where I also talk about the things that I offer, the spaces that I hold. And right now, the main thing that I'm focused on is the anchor, which is basically my signature program right now, fully self-paced. It's a 3-month journey, but people who are inside get lifetime access. So after the 3 months, they can come back to the materials whenever they want the support of them again. And it's amazing how we actually naturally touched on so many topics throughout the conversation we just had. But the anchor really is about this coming back to your anchor, to your center, with all of these different things that we touched on, like nervous system work, like the somatic tools, like energy work as well, more of the spiritual side and the spiritual embodiment that we bring into it. And while those are very deep topics and very deep things, we really bring them into a practical framework as well, so it's easy to implement into day-to-day life. And basically it's 12 weeks, and we have this separation between teaching weeks and anchoring weeks. And within the teaching weeks, you learn a lot about a new topic, such as drifting away from your anchor, such as the feminine masculine energy, nervous system work. You learn a lot. And there you also have the subconscious audios, you have somatic practices where I show you in videos how to do certain practices, energy work, to really dive into the teachings as well and bring them from the mind into the body and really work on that embodiment. And then we have the anchoring weeks where we dive even deeper and work even more on, okay, now we implemented all of the like the teachings and the knowledge. How are we really going to anchor them into our system and to carry them with us? And so basically that's how we kind of go through the 3 months together. And yeah, it's where I put all of the things that helped me a lot in the past years in my transformation from the things I experienced in childhood and university to the state that I'm in now, and that place of feeling grounded and feeling anchored. And I still come back to the practices
Mm.
almost every single day as well. So that's kind of the space where I'm now putting all of my energy, all of my love into, um, because I just feel how much that it impacted me in my life. And it's really kind of my baby that I want to, now bring out there and share with as many people
Mm.
the transformation that it can bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking us there. And you say one very important part, you come back to it. And I feel sometimes, especially if some high achievers are listening here or people who are like, I'm so long on my journey, it's the basics you need to come back to.
Mm.
And it's repetition. And it's not
Yeah.
like the next fancy, shiny thing, but
Yep.
and that's why such a course is so powerful, because you don't need to decide what do I do next. It's actually saving you energy instead of going to YouTube yourself and being interrupted by advertisement and like, oh, what do I do next? No, you have actually
Yeah.
Zoe as a guide who's like prepared this whole journey, and that is so wholesome. So
Mm.
thank you for bringing
Thank you
the
so much.
anchor into the world.
I'm so
Yeah.
happy to.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yes, I love that this word started the conversation and also kind of
Yeah,
is rounding it up.
me too.
And I'm super grateful that we have like 60 minutes full of joy, wisdom, gold nuggets experience from you, Zoe. Thank you
Oh,
so, so much that, yeah, you shared your time and your energy with us here. And whoever is listening, you will find all the details to Zoe in the show notes. And we're happy to see and read from you. If you're listening to the podcast episode, you can tag us or text us. We're happy to receive questions and impulses. And yeah, thank you for everyone who is listening.
amazing. I'm so happy that we did this, and I want to thank you again also for, having me here and having this beautiful conversation. I love how it just naturally flowed like this, and yeah, it was a beautiful way to also connect even more with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. To the next one.